Hello everybody, this is Jacob Lawlor from the office here to do a training class on becoming a great listing agent. Now, I'm going to be rocketing through this fairly quickly, so if I go past something a little bit too fast for you, feel free to rewind this and go back through this, because this was a class that I actually spent almost 2 solid hours on. So rather than making you pull your hair out for a 2-hour video on here, I'm going to rocket through this as quickly as I can to make sure that we cover the pertinent details but don't belabor too much of back and forth on here. So this is all about becoming a great listing agent. Now, we all want to work with sellers, right? That's what we want to do, because with working with sellers, what we're able to do is to control our time, control our compensation, rather than being at the whim of what the listing agent before broadcasts on the MLS of what your offered commission is. Well, you can control the market and control the inventory by having the listing itself. It's also more scalable and more profitable, because it's much easier to have 10 listings at a time rather than 10 hot to trot buyers at a time, because they will run you all over town and doing multiple showings in the evening time and going back and forth with your scheduling. And also it's available to you for longevity and consistency. If you're going to be wanting to do this long term and not have to go through the real estate agent commission roller coaster where you have 4 escrows going, then nothing for 3 months, and then 2 escrows going at once, and then nothing for 6 months, having listings is the name of the game. Now, how can you get sellers and get them consistently? Because we always hear about training classes talking about how to get sellers, do expired and canceled listings, doing circle calling, circle dialing around neighborhoods, around just listeds and just solds, door knocking neighborhoods, Facebook ads, retargeting with those Facebook ads, doing home valuation websites, 33 special touch campaigns in order to lock in all of these clients to you, dealing with your SOI. Past clients are the way to go. Short answer is yes, they all work. Everything works, but the question is, how can we do it consistently? And the only way to consistently get listings is to become a great listing agent. Now, becoming a great listing agent is completely different skill set than working with buyers. Because with the difference between working with buyers and working with sellers is the buyers will buy the house most of the time regardless of the agent. However, sellers will buy the agent. And unfortunately, most people and most sellers base their decision based upon relationships. And we see that from just looking at the MLS or running any sort of data, where most agents only sell 1 to maybe 3 houses per year, if that. And there's onesie twosie agents all over the place. You'll notice all of these listings with out of area agents, and come to find out in the disclosures, agent is related to the seller, agent is related to the seller, or it might even just be a friend or a friend of a friend or something like that. And the only way to overcome these relationships and become a great high producing listing agent is to be better, and far better than that competition. That's my main focus with this, is becoming better and far better, where they forego that relationship in order to work with you specifically. Now, becoming a great listing agent in a nutshell. This is a tall drink of water, a lot to go over, but to become a great listing agent, you really have to plan and prioritize your schedule. You have to prospect, go after sellers. You have to have great preparation in order to have these processes in place in order to become scalable. You have to be practiced. You have to be polished. You have to have your presentation down. You have to know the paperwork along the lines of listings. You have to know how to price property. You have to know how to prepare a home to market. What is it that buyers really look for? What will cause a home to sell and what will cause a home to sit? You have to know how to pre-market a listing. You have to know how to optimize your MLS in order to properly syndicate to those third-party sites, you have to know how to ensure that the property's syndicated properly. Did the photos all get through? How is it actually represented on those third-party sites like Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and all of those? You have to know how to coordinate and track these showings. And in order to field offers and communicate those offers to the sellers, in the market like what we're dealing with right now as a time of this recording, there are multiple offers on properties if they are in alignment with the marketplace, and sometimes we have to figure out how can we even communicate all of these offers to the seller. How can we properly negotiate contracts to maximize what our clients get out of it? How do we efficiently and effectively handle these escrows? How do we ensure client satisfaction through all of the inevitable hiccups and processes that happen during a transaction? We have to know how to secure testimonials and referral business, because that is ultimately what our goal is, to not have to continually prospect time and time again. And we have to brand and market ourselves consistently. That way we provide a market and a name for ourselves that attracts listings rather than having to go after them. Now, I know that was a lot to go over, and you're probably staring at your computer screen saying, geez Louise, what did I get myself into? But it is worth it. One of my favorite quotes from Bill Gates, love him or hate him, most people underestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 10 years. This is absolutely the case when it comes to becoming a great listing agent. There are a lot of things to go over and a lot of things to learn, but if you invest that time wisely into this one thing, you will have dividends pay time and time again. So let's just talk about what's most important. Where should we start today? The first thing we should really do is the preparation involved in it, the practice of the actual listing activities, the pricing of property, the professionalism in which we have with ourselves and our business, and ultimately the prospecting side or the lead generation side. So let's talk about preparation. Doing it once, doing it right, so that way we can do it always in that way. Having an initial wow follow-up already prepared where you do the same thing or at least the same style of thing time and time again, so that way you can duplicate the wow. Having a pre-listing package and process. Having a specific CMA system that you utilize to produce nice looking CMAs and having a professional feel and option for you. Also having zip form templates already built up so it's easy and simple and fast for you to prepare for these listing presentations, and ultimately preparing your presentation itself. So let's talk about an initial wow follow-up option. This is what my personal follow-up system was when I had a great seller or referral source lead. This was somebody who had called me on one of my marketing pieces, that she actually just called me to say that she'd been in the real estate business for 40 plus years and said that she'd never seen a marketing piece that was like that. This was a specific 12-page little brochure. This was a directed marketing piece that I had done. She called just to say it looked great. So I just wanted to thank her for being the type of person that I would love to work with. So this was a handwritten note that I made her. I also gave her one of my pre-listing packages, so that way that I can try to set myself apart from all of the agents that she'd worked with over the last 40 years, as well as I gave her a really nice orchid. That was my kind of wow follow-up piece that I like to do. I like to get an orchid, and these orchids for this specific one, for this price point of an area, these were actually a $50 orchid, so it was a good amount of money. But again, having this wow factor with it. She even posted this on her social media saying, wow, in 45 years in escrow, never have I had an agent surprise me with a gift. And that was amazing. And she even put my name on it and got a lot of kudos for that. This one person had already referred me 3 transactions in 3 months after this whole process in here. This is the type of thing that I loved to do, and I would love for you to be able to implement in your business an immediate initial wow follow-up that got people to really think about you. Also, going back to the relationships, always comes down to making people feel special. Now, she had already had relationships with 40 years worth of agents that she had come into contact. For some reason, she wanted to refer me to her future people just because I made her feel special, and it spoke volume. So I was very excited about that. So I would love for you to have those types of relationships. Also, pre-listing package, like I showed you in that previous thing, having a pre-listing package. What you can have in there are comparable sales when you actually are getting ready to go for a listing itself. An action plan, or what you're going to actually do to get it sold. Having testimonials or references that they can reach out to just to kind of have proof of concept in there. Having a listing agreement for them to be able to review. That way it's not a big scary thing when you sit and put it across the table from them at the end. And then the net sheets. If you're suggesting a price, you should be having a net sheet or maybe a couple at different price points, so that way they can get an idea at the bottom line net to them when they list with you. Now, here is an example of my pre-listing package. Now, I'm actually going to take you to a live thing of what my actual pre-listing package was. So this was something that I had drawn up, and you can have marketing do this for you, but I can also show you a resource to do this on your own. This was my personal one to make it look like our company's pre-listing book at the time. Just a little bit about me. I like to show the as featured in Orange Coast Magazine because I've had different press releases. Also a little letter that I had written and signed and everything like that. My personal plan of action, 2 pages of things that I have committed to doing for each one of my seller clients. Also a little bit about First Team and why we are great. We're #1 in Southern California, #1 in Orange County, but not dwelling on that, going right back into what I'm going to do to engage with more qualified buyers, and then testimonials of what clients are saying about working with me. And then at the end, my kind of tagline, if you will, was I do more so that you get more, and it would be an honor to earn your business and trust. So again, just a little bit about what I liked to do. Now, what I did in terms of how I would present this, I would actually put this in First Team's pre-listing package folder. It was a tri-fold folder. Now, inside this, there was actually like a little flap that you could do, is where I printed out and bound that pre-listing book with the comparable sales in here. On the top, I had a cover letter that I will post on where I'm putting this video in here. On the right-hand side is where I put the listing agreement, and I actually printed out 2 of them in case for some reason I made a mistake while I was there. There's a little flap to put my business card, and then on the left-hand side, it actually already comes with sample marketing material, but of course I put in my own marketing pieces in here. And for $17 a piece, that's not bad because it actually comes with its own pre-listing book. I personally swapped it out to put my own individual one in there, but you can use the one that's as is. But again, that's just something that I like to do for my pre-listing book, but getting back into it. Also, part of the pre-listing process, I personally love to do the pre-qualifying call, asking a series of questions to make sure, #1, I was more prepared, but also that way I had some objections out from there. So it was a great way to reconfirm their motivation. I had a better understanding of what they were looking to do, and also I knew if I was going to be in competition with other agents. And I also had my own form that I like to use to fill it out as a little one sheet in here, and I will again post this as well on where I'm posting this video. So let's actually do one live. If I were to actually do a listing presentation right now, how would I prepare for that one, and how quickly can it be? Because one of the challenges that I've known with working with agents and coaching agents is oftentimes when you didn't have these set up already, we would almost be afraid for a seller to come out and say yes to us, to say, yes, you know what, I am considering making a move. Can you come back in about an hour? We're going to be free. Where it was almost an oh crap moment. So sometimes it was, oh my goodness, and agents would spend 2 days before the listing presentation getting it ready because you didn't already have these set up. So let's go ahead and do one live to show exactly what I would do. All right, so let's talk about how we actually can do this on the fly to see how long this would take if I were to actually get a phone call from a potential seller who wants to list their home. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's just take a local property here in Mission Viejo. Let's say I want to use this Oso Grande property. It's priced at almost 1 million, right? So let's say that I get a phone call from these people. The very first thing that I would do is I would actually look them up on Realist. So I have the benefit of having the actual MLS listing up here. Most of the time, you're just going to have an address. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to copy this address. I'm going to go into Realist Tax. Of course, the service is unavailable at the moment. That is really unfortunate as we're doing this. That is really too bad. But let's just say for the sake of discussion, it popped up there. Let's see. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Let's not. Okay, so it's not going to pop up there. What I would look for on Realist in here is I would look to see if the names matched the people that I was talking to make sure that I had the correct address in there. And I would also look for the parcel number in here, because what I would do at that point is I would open up my Zip Forms account, hit New Listing. What I always do for listings is I will title it the address, and it will auto find it here. I will click it, which will actually add the address to the address portion of the MLS. Click on residential. I'm going to click on active. I'm going to utilize my listing template that I've already told you to set up listing templates for to make this easy. I'm going to say save. Then I just immediately go directly into documents. I'm going to take the residential listing agreement. I'm going to scroll to the listing agreement itself. I'm going to double click for today's date. I'm going to double click for today, and I'm going to double click again and say till 2021, because I'll just default say that I will do it for a year. Now again, you can ebb and flow depending upon your system. That was mine, right? So I would, if I had access to Realist, I would immediately put in their names here. But let's see if Realist is working at the moment. Let's see. There we go. Awesome. So the Isaacs. So Christopher J. Isaacs. So let's just do Christopher copy, then Isaacs, right? And then also it was Shanda Isaacs. Oops. Shanda Isaacs. Okay. The next thing I would add in there is the parcel number. I'm going to copy that, come in here, and boom. Now, if you're one of those people who like to add in the price, do it here. I personally didn't do that. So I left it blank because I wanted to arrive with the price with the client. You can do the same thing with the listing compensation if you want to leave that blank and arrive on it, but you should have all of your other items filled in with your template should you want to. At that point, I would print out 2 copies of that, and then I would include that, if you recall, in my pre-listing book where they would be right here on the side here. But let's get back to it, where what I would do is I would print those out, then I'd go back. So then what I would do is while I'm in Realist, I like to scroll down, and then I would look for the last market sale and history. There should be listing information. Great. So what you can do with the listing information, you can copy the previous listing, and you can come up to the quick search bar. If let's just say that you didn't have that information, paste that. So that way I want to see what condition the property was when they purchased it. So these people purchased it in 2014, and the condition was pretty nice. So it wasn't, oh my goodness, upgraded, but also wasn't just an all original condition. So what I like to do is I would come here, I would say save image as, and I'll share with you why I'm doing this in a second. I would just title this number 1, saving it to my desktop. Because what I would do then, because we're in South Orange County, a lot of what we do is based upon subdivision, or what used to be called builder tract codes. So what you're able to do is go back into search, and I want to see things that are coming soon, active, active under contract, pending, and closed in the last 180 days in Mission Viejo. And then I'm going to select subdivision. of El Dorado. The reason why I do 180 days is just because of the number of sales that have been going on. I want to have a little bit further back to see, and if I had enough results, I would dial this number in. Ideally, we'd like to see it in 90 days, but it's really all dependent upon how many results we get. So let's just go over to here to the map search. So let's see. All right, now that we have the map view up here, what I like to do is I like to go to jump to address. Now, what I can do is I can go back to where it was here under realist, copy this here, and select and paste to find out where that property is located. Now, if this were a real listing presentation, I would scrutinize what comparable sales I'm using. For the sake of time, let's just say all of these are comparable. Again, ideally, I'd like to have similar bedroom, bathroom count, plus or minus 10% of the sizing, and of course, looking at what the condition is like. But for the sake of all of your sanity and time, let's just say all of these are comparable, right? Once I have my results selected, which you can either do this from the map screen or the results screen, is I will then say Cloud CMA. Now, Cloud CMA automatically integrates with CRMLS, which is phenomenal because that's why I actually started utilizing Cloud CMA. So it will load all of these into our Cloud CMA service, and we'll just title it Client. This is the Isaacs family. These are just private notes. I never do anything with that. But what I would do here is I would also paste it to here and select. That way it will actually pull from Realist. Now, if you remember under photo, I had previously saved under desktop the last MLS photo. So I'm going to say crop. Sure, I like it. What we're going to do is say fetch listings, because it automatically pulled the listings that we selected, and it's going to pop up a map to show all of the listings that we chose, with the subject property being Oso Grande. I can choose to set a price here if I want, or I can leave it blank. Completely up to you, because what you can do is you can do a net sheet if you right here on the same program. I'm not going to do that just because I didn't personally like doing it. You can also reorder these if you want one to come first rather than the other, and you can also choose while you're here, you know what, I really don't want this one, or I do want this one, or don't want this one, whatever you want to do. Let's go ahead and say customize reports. Now, this system remembers the last settings that you used, and it will automatically duplicate those from the ones that you did previously. So I personally don't like to use too much on the pre-listing section, which again, that's what this is for. So I'm not actually going to do each individual listing one at a time, just because I don't want this to be some sort of 50-page pre-listing report. If you wanted to, absolutely. You can just say listings, you can say listing details, you can even add photos or more photos or what have you, whatever you want to do, completely up to you. I'm just going to leave this as it is because this is realistically what I would do. Then all you say is publish report. It will say publishing, and it will be working here, and eventually it will say boom, cool. And you can actually view the PDF right here. So look at how quickly we were able to do this, where I was able to get the listing agreement, the pre-listing package with all of the comps. Again, if this were a real listing presentation, I would scrutinize the comps a little bit more, but sharing what I like to include in there, as well as I loved this online valuation analysis where they compare Zestimates to the actual prices. And then right here in my Cloud CMA was my pre-listing package. All I would do would be say to print. I would bind this and shove it inside my pre-listing package. That again, it's super easy to get these right here. They can inter-office them directly to the office. But other than that, that's what I would do to get ready. And then, of course, the pre-listing call saying I'm going to be dropping this by. But other than that, that is that. So once we get past the preparation phase and we have our systems set up, it's now time to actually practice. Now, one of the big things about working with seller clients is because we are having to overcome previously held relationships with a potential other agent, because as we are here in Orange County, California, there are 20,000 real estate agents in Orange County. So our competition is plentiful. However, great news is that it's not fierce. So if we are practiced and polished, we will be miles above the competition. So the things that we really need to practice are our initial meeting dialogue to make sure that we have our best foot forward and we make a great first impression. That our follow-up dialogue is nailed down, that we are great at appointment setting scripting, and number one, making it smooth, but also making it seem like no big deal for you to meet with them, making it smaller in our mind so that way we don't make it a big deal in their mind. And we need to practice the listing presentation, and most importantly, the confidence around our objection handling, to know what they're going to say of objections up front and know how to handle it. Our pricing is really an art and a science, but it's one of the most important things we can really nail down. And understanding the difference between what a property is worth and what it will actually sell for. Getting into what the value is versus the sales pressure or buyer pools or available buyers in the marketplace who are looking for a home like that. Making sure the areas of alignment are all put together and presenting pricing in a way that gets them to discover their own price rather than us just flat out asserting it. Because if they say it, it's real. When we say it, it's a salesperson. So making sure we understand how to price a property and how to present the pricing so that way a seller discovers it on their own. And professionalism. One of the most overlooked parts of our business is professionalism, is to remember that the buyer buys the house and the seller buys the agent. So making sure our attire is professional, making sure that our spelling and our grammar and our communication with the seller is professional, making sure our dialogue and our verbiage and the words that we use has a higher level of professionalism, and making sure that our attitude is professional, that we're not complaining, we're not a Debbie Downer, that we have a professional attitude and we treat ourselves with respect so that way they can do in turn. Now, prospecting, nothing happens without lead generation. Now, sometimes agents get so focused on the preparation and so focused on the practice, they never get down to actually talking to people. Now, the reason why I put this at the end is that some agents feel like they cannot actually go out and talk to people, and they don't have the confidence to even get the yes, or they're afraid, even worse, of the yes. So that's why I put this at the end, because sometimes we focus too much on the lead generation side and the prospecting side without first having that backing to at least have the confidence to know that even if they say yes after all of these people, that I can handle it. Now, you have to go after sellers. That's specifically why I'm saying prospecting and not necessarily just lead generation. You have to go after sellers because you can't get caught in just the marketing trap where you're spending money and piece after mailer without having these conversations. Having just simple dialogue with sellers to actually go after them and to ask. So sometimes I ask agents, how many conversations have you had over the last week? And they may say, I had 100. And I'll ask them, how many times did you ask the question, who do you know who's looking to make a move? Or when do you plan on making a move? Or even for the right price, would you consider selling? I noticed that I just wrote seller, but selling. Would you consider selling, right? Asking those 3 questions, if nothing else, will produce much better results for your business, because we can't get caught in the marketing trap. It's all about lead generation through prospecting, having conversations. Here's an example of a way to go after sellers for prospecting. This all started with a listing that I actually lost. I didn't get this listing. I went on a listing appointment, didn't get it. Another agent within our company, not our office, but another agent within our company ended up getting it because she actually had the relationship. And so she was able to leverage the tools of First Team with also having the relationship with the seller. So I had asked her, hey, since I didn't get it and you're out of the area, big secret, out of the area. Would you mind if I went and tried to found a buyer for this home? She said, absolutely, great. I'm going to market to the neighborhood and I'm going to go after and hunt. So I put together this little piece in here and I said, our firm is taking a listing in this neighborhood. Now since I did the listing presentation, I knew a lot of details, so I was able to put it on here. Again, our firm is taking a listing, not me, and I went around the neighborhood looking for people. And what I was able to do is I prospected and I knocked on every single door in that tract. And what I did is I had this little printout here. I folded it in half if they didn't answer the door. I put this little sticky note on it that I had pre-printed because I have horrible handwriting and I'm lazy. So this is a post-it note style where there's a little adhesive up here at the top. So I folded this letter in half, I put this on top, and I slipped it into the door if they didn't answer when I knocked on their door. That was before the listing hit the market. I got a number of calls from that, some from unhappy agents, some from sellers who were considering wanting to see it, and one seller who actually disguised himself as somebody who was looking, who actually ended up listing his own house a couple of days later. I think he was just fishing for information about what that house was going to be listed at. Once it hit the market, because I also asked that one particular agent if I could hold it open for her, because she lived about an hour and a half away. I said, let me save you the driving time. I'll help you sell it, and I'll prospect to try to get a buyer in there. I put out a similar letter, this time now being able to give the address and the price since it was now on the market, and saying, hey, I want to personally invite you to a grand open house. Did the same thing. I knocked on every single door. When they didn't answer, I folded it in half, put the sorry I missed you, and I went ahead and did that open house. When I was at that open house, I did something called the funnel, where I was able to funnel it down. And the secret of the funnel is to find a way of saying, this house is the only one like it, to make it seem like it is a no-brainer. So to give you an idea, what I did for this was in Rancho Santa Margarita, which is where this house was listed, there were 57 listings active, 77 in escrow, 392 sold in the last 6 months, which was averaging 65 per month, which meant that we were at a 0.88% months inventory, meaning that we were in a strong seller's market. Then I went into the funnel. Of those 57 active properties, 46 of them have at least 3 bedrooms. 4 are priced under $600,000. 3 have at least 2 car garages, and only 1 is detached. And in all reality, there's only 1 detached home in $600,000 in all of RSM currently active, regardless of any other criteria, and you're standing inside of it right now. That's the secret of the funnel. That's after I did all of this walking, talking, getting the neighbors excited. I was able to share with them how I present properties to make them sell for the highest that they could, having also a professional banner in here saying that off-market properties to get the buyers on the buyer's side, but also proof is in the pudding that I was talking to tons of the neighbors in there. So as a result, I ended up taking a number of listings specifically from that open house, that area. One of them was in the neighborhood. 2 of them were people at the open house saying, we've been to tons of open houses. We've never seen anybody do something like this. We would love for you to represent our home. So that is an example of how you can take all of this preparation, because of course, once I got their information, I did my follow-up sequence. Orchid, handwritten note, pre-listing package, getting them excited about me so that way we could set an appointment right after that open house. So the secret that I want to give to you is to set it up for you and then get to work. That's the key, is to set it up for your success. Customize this for you. You don't have to use my system. Use this as a guide to get you ready to do this time and time and time again, because I can promise you one thing, is that if you do this, you will feel more confident. And if you feel more confident, you'll do this with more sellers, which will get you more results. And if you need some help with marketing tools on how to get this done, to customize it for you, first and foremost, as part of First Team, we have all of our presentations on LucidPress, easily able to customize for you, where I could even share that with you here, where on LucidPress, our listing presentation, it automatically pulls all of your info. You can customize this for your client's name. You can choose to use as much or as few of our company's stats. You can have your own featured listings if you want to add it here. You can have your about you automatically just put in right here, professional, where you don't have to rely on marketing to put this, the marketing department to put this all together for you. You can do this right here on LucidPress, or if you want to, you can have the marketing department do this for you custom. You can use canva.com, a free online editing software, or you can pay for it to have the upgraded plan. But most of this you can do right on the free version of Canva. And even most of my personal letters and all of that where I actually got results just came from fun old Microsoft Word. But at the end of the day, I'm here for you as your coach, as your mentor, as your advisor to help you have more listings, have you help your business grow, because I'm here for you and I'm committed to your success. I'll talk to you guys soon.